Hello, merriment makers. Welcome to the second masterclass in the Dress for Joy module here in the Merriment Makers. Today, we are going to go through 16 different ways that you might feel like you are to something to wear something. And this also honestly applies in theory to really anything that you might feel for showing up in life. So that means if you feel like you're too weird or you're too something to be yourself really in life. So if you were maybe kind of struggling with how to be as weird as you wanted to be last month in the weird module, to express yourself in physical attributes or creatively or anything, if you have these kind of confrontations with something, this aspect of these four structures, these four things that are in your workbook, these steps are going to be able to help you work through really anything. So here's what we're doing. We're starting this quote, Donatella Versace: fashion is all about happiness. It's fun, it's important, but it's not medicine. So, everything that we're talking about in this module, I sent out the newsletter yesterday with all the 26 resources so far for all of this fashion psychology that we've been talking about. But, as much as everything that's so beautiful about fashion psychology and the way that we can use things to dress for joy, we also really need to make sure that it is coming from a place of self-love. So we can't, what is the saying? Like, it's a really nasty saying, honestly, but like you can only put so much lipstick on a pig or whatever it is. But I believe that works in terms of how we feel. If you feel horrible, if you hate yourself, you can, dress up in the, most elaborate thing and the most beautiful thing, and it's not going to matter if you don't love yourself, right? And this is not, fashion is not a cure to self-love. It's not. It's a tool. So here are some excuses that we make, reasons that we have, fears that we have about why we can't show up in the world, why we can't be ourselves, why we feel like maybe, this is coming from the lens of fashion and fashion psychology and dressing up and expressing ourselves visually. But I do want you to think about these reasons that we have. Now, we've kind of already talked a little bit about being too old and, our body image, just kind of like glossing over the surface. And these are things that do come up in terms of self-love repeatedly, but today we're going to go into a lot of these in depth. So here are examples of excuses that we make. I'm too old, I'm too fat, it's too vain to, look into fashion. I'm too lazy, I'm too tired to do this, I'm too hairy, I'm too sexy, my boobs are too big, I'm too menopausal, I'm too trans, I'm too binary, I'm too non-conforming, it's too much expectation to keep doing this, I'm too messy, I'm not confident enough, I'm not cool enough to pull this off, I don't have enough places to wear this, it's not professional enough, I work from home, there's nowhere to do this, I live in a small or conservative town, it's not professional enough. There's so many different reasons, and if I didn't list yours, that's okay. We can apply this to anything. All right, so there is a workbook and there are 4 specific steps for action in this workbook. And I really hope that you'll use this and find this to be very, very helpful. Now, everything in this workbook is applicable to every single aspect of this masterclass. So any of the reasons that you find that you are maybe coming up against, any of these limiting beliefs that you feel are relevant to you, you'll be able to use this structure of these questions and these steps to be able to work through this process and use these 4 questions to be able to like apply this to any single fear. That's what I'm trying to say. So these are applicable to any single process or any single fear. So the first step here is to flip it on someone else. So imagine, so the first step, it says like, I can't dress up because insert blank, right? So that blue at the top there. So you insert the fear. So let's say that it's the old one. Let's pick that, right? So I can't dress up because I'm too old. Okay. Now, the first step is to imagine someone else. You can start with me. You can start with your best friend, your partner, your mother, your cat, your child self, maybe even someone that, you know, is that you can even imagine that someone has died, that they killed themselves. You can take this pretty like seriously. And if you could imagine like these words would save them, you know? So the idea is to see how your brain shifts when you hear the exact same reason for not being able to do the exact same thing from someone who isn't you, for someone who isn't you. Okay. So the next thing to do is to come up with one. So an example for that would be, like, what would you say or believe, like, what would you say or actually just feel for that? So if you were hearing me say, I can't dress up because I'm too old, what is your immediate instinct? Like, you're not too old. What are you talking about? That's subjectively not true, right? You're not too old. And like, explain that. Like in the box of number 1, I want you to write out the reasons and the things that you would say to someone else and just list out like your actual response to someone else who was saying that thing. Okay. Number 2 is to come up with one objective reason that you could use to explain why the above statement in blue is not true. And honestly, it might be the exact same reason as number 1, but right now we're talking about you, not someone else. We're talking about you. So this is using just logic, right? So now we're going to have to dig a little deeper. We're not flipping it on someone else. We're talking about you here. And we're asking you to think, okay, do I have any evidence, any scientific logic? Can I be objective? Can I remove myself and try to think about, do I have any evidence that I'm not old here? And can I just think about something that's older than me? Can I say that I'm okay, yeah, maybe I'm 65 and all textbooks would agree that I am old, but I am not dead, right? And am I too old to wear this thing? I mean, who says what that means? I mean, can you just find one statement of fact that would give you permission for this thing to be maybe even neutrally possible? Okay. Step 3 is to do something that Rachel Rogers says. I love the way that she phrases this in her book, We Should All Be Millionaires, which is to move from a broke ass thought to a millionaire thought, $1 million thought. So what is a more beautiful, badass thought that you could try to believe? And maybe it's as simple as just the exact opposite of this thought. So for example, if your thought was, I can't dress up because I'm too old, then your new thought could be, I am the perfect age for all of my outfits. Or I am eternally young. I look good in everything. Okay, so this is your new affirmation. This is your new mantra, and you're going to do shadow work with this. Shadow work is tapping, it's mirror work, it's positive affirmations, just saying it and repeating it. It's meditating, it's coaching. So this, or hypnosis, it's any kind of tool that you want to do in terms of self-love work. But the point is that you want to become well acquainted with this new phrase and say it as often as you can. You're moving from believing this old excuse of I'm too old to get dressed up to believing the new belief, which is your new affirmation or mantra, whatever you'd like to call it. And it's okay if it feels crazy and untrue. It is supposed to. Okay. So, this is the beauty of merriment making. We are addressing your limiting beliefs so we can take action with logistical steps. It's theory and tangibility. So now the next step is action. And Step 4 is, what's one way you can physically start to put this into action? So for example, maybe you have a piece of clothing that you thought was too youthful to wear, but you wanted to wear it or buy it. And now you need to identify what this is, when you'll do it, and what you'll need to do to accomplish this. And that includes any emotional support and supplies. Okay, so that means you also need to schedule it. So schedule the shadow work and new action steps regularly into your schedule. And that means at least once a week for both. So you need to schedule shadow work and you need to schedule your action step. Okay. And this process, like I said, can be done for any excuse on this list, any excuse that you find, and for all categories in life. This is a basic thought work process. Okay, so now let's dive deeper into all of the excuses, reasons, fears that you believe might be in the subconscious part of your brain, and find out why they aren't for you, and find some logistical ideas for how to start counteracting them so you believe that they aren't true. The first one, I'm too old. We'll continue here. First of all, you are welcome. You are lucky that you're old. What a privilege. Some people don't get to be old. Remember that. You, as an older person, as you age, physically, you get less emotional volatile, like I can never say that word correctly. Volatile. I can't say it when there's an ITY on it. You become less volatile emotionally. You have a better understanding of relationships, and you have figured out strategies for different situations. That is literally what the word wisdom is. Okay. So also, as you're getting older, certain nerve cells in your brain are required for, fight or flight, right? So as you're getting older, the number of cells in your brain, the nerve cells that are required for your sympathetic nervous system in the locus coeruleus, drop to about half, which basically means that your general anxiety is just less, and you stop caring about a lot of stuff. That's why older people are chiller. Your sympathetic nervous system is not like running on fight or flight as much. It's just true. So those are like scientific benefits to aging, okay? Now, there's also no such thing as appropriate or timeless. These are made up terms. There's also facts of women start being told that they are too old to wear things such like as early as the age of 23. That's objectively young. Everyone also always says things like, I'm going to get to do that when I'm older. I can't wait to be that kind of person when I'm older. So stop being your own block. Here are some ideas. Start thinking about things that make you feel young. Also, start thinking about things that make you feel old. If you're doing things that make you feel old, stop doing those things. Stop wearing things that make you feel old. Plan youthful activities that require more youthful clothing. Have an inner child photo shoot. Check out the inner child module again. Check out the play module again. Spend time with old things in nature to appreciate elderly things, and wear it anyway. Look up to people like Iris Apfel. She's 100. She's over 100 years old. Look at her in the top left right there. Killing it. She's an amazing icon. So is Batty Winkle over here on the right with the rainbow. She's an amazing person to follow on Instagram. There's also people over 60 and as celebrities that you can look at are people like Julianne Moore, Helen Mirren, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jane Fonda, Diane Keaton, Cher, Iman, Tina Turner, Gayle King. And there's an amazing Instagram called Advanced Style run by Ari Seth Cohen, and he captures some amazing elderly people who have fantastic fashion sense, like the person here on the bottom left. And I can't recommend that Instagram enough to give you some inspiration. Next up, we have I'm too fat. So here are some benefits to having fat on your body. Fat provides padding and a source of energy for your kidneys, liver, and heart. It provides a layer of protection, almost like a barrier to physical trauma. Obese people have a higher incidence of kidney cancer, but they're also more likely to survive the disease. We also say all bodies are beautiful. All bodies are bikini bodies. Fat cats and babies are cute. And, the type of body that is socially acceptable and in style changes by the decade. It used to be considered a sign of wealth to be overweight. And in terms of ideas, you can move your body, spend time naked, wear tight clothing, spend time near things that are larger in nature, have a boudoir photo shoot, and check out the Body Love module. Also, wear it anyway. Look to Lizzo, Melissa McCarthy. Rebel Wilson lost a lot of weight, but she was overweight for a very long time. Kathy Bates, Tess Holliday, Adie Bryant, Nicole Byer, Lena Dunham. These are all people who are, fat in celebrity culture, right? And I also recommend following Glitter and Lasers on Instagram, who's featured here at the bottom. Okay. Next up, we have I'm too curvy. So you are more likely to be stronger, live longer, and have better maternal health than your skinny counterparts if you're curvy. Large breasts also tend to indicate a higher fertility rate. Also, it's kind of like a whole fetish. I know that we don't necessarily like being fetishized, but there's a reason that some people think that this is the sexiest thing in the world. If you're worried about being over-sexualized, though, I know that part of having, big hips and big butts and big breasts is sometimes we just feel like it's not as easy to wear a piece of clothing the same way that someone without these more voluptuous shapes could wear it, and it looks quote unquote sexy just by wearing it, right? Like if someone with an A cup versus a double D cup wore the same dress, it becomes like a sexy dress versus like a beach dress, right? And sometimes we're scared of, being perceived as like being slutty or sexy or, being a mother. And, there's a lot of things that we're not wanting to show children certain things and stuff. So I'm going to refer you to the part on being scared of attention on that, okay, which is like a whole ebook. And if you're worried about being seen as sexual also when you're trying to wear an outfit, I just also want to remind you that your body is not obscene because there is more fat or it's more curvy with bones in an area that's associated with reproductivity. Like it's just not. It's different. It's just different. It's the same part of most of this stuff is based on comparison and the idea that we're too fat, too curvy, too skinny, too tall, too anything that's specific to a physical bodily element while we're in this section is all based on comparison, body love, acceptance. And there are some things that can be, manipulated slightly, such as, weight. And then there's some things like you can't really do much about your bones. You can't do much about your height, right? Like there's certain things that it just isn't really, you can't do anything about your age, right? Most of these are not able to be manipulated. And even if you can, about hair or, even through plastic surgery or something, it's up to you about how you want to go about this. And ultimately, this is your desire between acceptance and rejection, truly. And if you're going to allow, the way that other people might see you or you see yourself to hinder your ability to experience your fullest expression out in the world and in your heart and in your home. Okay. So other ideas for, this particular excuse or reason or fear are to get your clothes tailored. That can help with, honestly, anything. To get supportive bras, very comfy bras, to dress for comfort, to try breast massage. That's sometimes when we're more curvy, we're a little more disconnected or dissociated from our boobs. So that can help. There's very feminine embodiment breast massage. You can find those on YouTube. You can also spend time around other curvy, feminine, and fertile things in nature and wear it anyway. There are some very curvy people in our celebrity culture to look to, like Beyonce, Kim Kardashian, Kate Winslet, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Hudson, Salma Hayek, America Ferrara, Tyra Banks, Amy Schumer, Mindy Kaling, Oprah Winfrey, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Christina Aguilera. And if you're looking for people who specifically have big breasts, there are lots of them. And some of them are curvy as well, but I wanted to highlight specifically people who have big boobs because I know that that is a concern as well. So Kat Dennings, Christina Hendricks, Adele, Queen Latifah, Ashley Graham, Pamela Anderson, Charlotte McKinney, Kelly Brook, Alana Glazer, and Sofia Vergara. Okay, next up is I'm too hairy. So everybody has body hair, and I want to ask, like, why is it okay for men to have body hair, but not women? Why is it okay to have hair on your eyebrows, but not above your lip? Why is it okay to have hair some places, but not others, or expected to? And how much money do companies profit off of hair removal? And what if all the Kardashians started making filters for the body hair that we are shaving and removing? And all of a sudden, unibrows or happy trails were like in now, and it was the new thing, the same way that freckles and big butts are in now, but they didn't used to be. You know, body hair also protects you against the sun and the dirt and the pathogens, and it actually helps regulate your temperature. So ideas here are to grow it out, to wear something that shows your body hair in public, to put glitter on it, to dye it a different color, to take a photo of it, to calculate how much money you would save if you stopped removing it, to spend time around other hairy and fuzzy things in nature like moss or cats, and to wear it anyway. Here are some celebrities who actively have or do showcase the fact that they have body hair. This is such a weird thing. But here we go. Julia Roberts, Miley Cyrus, Rihanna, Amanda Steinberg, Cardi B, Paris Jackson, Madonna, Scout Willis, Becca Martinez, Rachel McAdams, Jessica Simpson, Drew Barrymore, Lisa Bonet, Tyra Banks, Ashley Graham. And on Instagram, I recommend following Harnam Carr. That is the woman with the beard featured up here on the left. And Sophia DG, it's listed here. Sophia Digi Pantelli. They are the person here with the unibrow. So really interesting different ways to showcase body hair. Okay. Next up is I'm too short. So it's easier to have things tailored to you to make them shorter than longer, and smaller clothes are also less expensive and take less material to make. It's easier to fit into smaller objects. If you want to climb into stuff, you'll never hit your head on a too short door. You have more leg room. It's easier to be picked up and carried if you needed to be. You'll always be in the front row for pictures, and you get to be in the shade of other people's shadows in the summer. You will naturally also develop better posture as a shorter person. You acquire better balance, and you can swing your legs on benches. Good things also come in small packages. So ideas are to call yourself travel sized or fun sized or playing it safe with gravity. You can also wear heels or lifted shoes, or choose not to. You can do power poses. You can spend time around other small things in nature. What's the smallest thing you can find, and wear it anyway. Look to people that I found all these people who are under 5 feet, not like 5'2" or under 5 feet, okay? Jada Pinkett Smith, Dolly Parton, Mae Whitman, Eva Longoria, Snooki, Christina Ricci, Shakira, and Lil' Kim. Next up, I'm too tall. People who are taller, on average, have a higher IQ, a higher income, a lower risk of diabetes if you're a woman, a lower risk of dementia and heart disease. They're more likely to maintain healthy weights. They're more likely to be happier, more productive, and seen and perceived as more confident. You can also reach things on tall shelves, see everything at concerts. You always get to ride shotgun because of your long legs. You don't need stools to reach things, and you have a lot of advantages in a lot of sports. Ideas for embracing this. Stand and sit up straight. You don't want to hunch. You can wear heels to like feel even taller. Wear clothes that are long enough. Don't, feel like you can't, like you have to adapt to like shorter, like high water pants. That's what I'm looking for, high water pants or sleeves. Know also that your weight will be different than shorter people. It's going to be higher because of your height. Stop looking for romantic partners based on your height. Spend time with other very tall things in nature, like trees or giraffes, and wear it anyway. Look to people who are all 5'11" and over, like Nicole Kidman, Lucy Lawless, Tilda Swinton, Sigourney Weaver, Kristen Johnson, Aisha Tyler, Elizabeth Debicki, Taylor Swift, Elle Macpherson, and Brooke Shields. I'm too disabled. Okay, this is a little taboo maybe, but I'm looking for positive angles in everything as much as possible. So if you have a physical mobility aid that is visible, it is potentially possible that you will endure shorter queues or lines, that you can access better seats, and sometimes you'll even receive better service at venues. You can also sometimes get away with things like a ticket because officers do feel guilty. I'm not saying that this is happening. I'm not all the time, and I'm not saying that this is worth it. I'm saying that this is the sparkly lining of some things, and things do have sparkly linings. Also, the friends that you make with people end up being very real because you know they're accepting you for who you really are. And people often pay attention to people who are disabled and their story and feel more inspired by it. That's true. You also will develop your own empathy and experience a unique life, an interesting life for sure, and understand that people experience life differently. You'll be able to appreciate things in a deeper way. You'll also scientifically have deeper critical thinking skills and be more likely to realistically be optimistic and creative. Now, there are so many different kinds of disabilities, so many. And when I first started writing this, I was thinking about fashion and I was thinking about physical, adaptability clothing. And I also realized, this needs to include chronic pain and mental illness as well. So I first wanted to list out all the different kinds of ways that we need to be aware of the things just while we're here, the kinds of things that you can include on lists for yourself if you want to diversify or amplify your ability to get dressed if you have pain or if you need functional dressing. So, there's things for, amputations and prosthetics and medical devices. But we're also wanting to look at things that are for sensory friendly clothing, different kinds of fabrics and things that are tagless, different materials, compression wear. You can also look into functional abilities for closures and reaching, like zippers, clasps, buttons, magnetic and Velcro closures. There are dresses that come in two pieces so that you can put them on a wheelchair. You're in a wheelchair so that you don't need to be like assisted by another person. You can do two different pieces and it connects. There's things that have open sides or open backs. There's pull-up tabs. There's things that are made specifically for people who are in wheelchairs. There's things specifically for mobility aids. And, there's also the idea of needing to plan for getting dressed. So there's two slides here. Here are some ideas. Decorating your mobility aid, your assistive equipment, or your pill bottles. You can also investigate just general adaptive clothing brands. I added a list in your resources of a bunch of different adaptive clothing links for you to access, and including very well done podiatrist recommended shoes, which are very important. Let's see here. You want to plan outfits out in advance. I think that would be very helpful, especially if you are, tired or you're getting help from a caregiver. If you have things like done in batches, I think that could be like very helpful, or just like coupled out, you know what I mean? Like if you're able to know, like, this is a whole outfit, this is a whole outfit, this is a whole outfit, and you can have things kind of like how you like schedule your meds, you can schedule outfits out. I think that would be really helpful. You can have a photo shoot showcasing your disability. You dress for comfort first, always. Choose fabrics that don't aggravate your skin. I looked up cotton, silk, rayon, wool, and linen are also very good for thermoregulation. Focusing on your feet and being comfortable in your shoes. I told you about that link for the podiatrist friendly shoes. Try to only wear pajamas at night if possible, like to boost your mood when we're experiencing some sort of disability, like your mental health is of utmost importance. Try to use backpacks over handbags to help with your arm and back strain. Get dressed as soon as you wake up as part of your routine. Dress in layers. Have a chair around when you're getting dressed to be able to use for balance. Get assistive tools like zipper pullers, sock pullers, or shoe horns. And you can also use things like coil shoelaces that they don't need to be tied. There's a lot of new stuff that's coming out, and it's really nice. There are some people that you can look to, like, I'm not sure how to say his name, Nick Vujicic. He is the founder of Life Without Limbs. He has no limbs, and he has created this really fascinating organization, and he goes around the world and does talks, and it's really cool. There's also Erin Fotheringham, who is the most famous wheelchair skater in the world. Savannah Welch has an amputated leg. She's an actress and a podcaster. There's Michael J. Fox, Ray Charles. I also put Billie Eilish in here. I think that there's an importance to also understanding that, mental health, obviously, and mental illness rather affects the way that our ability to get dressed as well as, anything else. And I started looking up, celebrities with mental illness and different disabilities. And I linked you a whole list of them. There's quite a very long list, everything from blindness to autism to, having an amputated leg to Tourette's. And Billie Eilish is one of the very few celebrities that have ever admitted that she has Tourette's, like I do. And I just think it's nice to be able to think about like how we can use our spoons for pain and our brains to get dressed as well, so that's why I included her. And also I think, all of this is about style as well, like how this influences our style. So, okay, all of that is linked for you. And these are other Instagram people to follow on here. Okay, I'm too trans or non-binary or non-conforming. So a study by Cornell University found that gender transition improves the overall well-being of transgender people in 93% of cases. So by accepting your true identity, you are decreasing your cognitive dissonance and stepping into your true happiness. Part of this is expressing yourself on the outside the same way you feel on the inside. So the more aligned you feel, the happier you will be. Additionally, if you are showing up as an example for others, they will feel more confident to make their own transition and have the opportunity to be part of the 93% who feel happier when they do. Some ideas. Think of how unhappy, confused, or unaligned you felt before you transitioned or came out, and what you were doing or feeling, and how or what you wanted to do or feel. How are you doing that same thing with your clothing? Make a list of what you wish you could dress like, and a list of how you're dressing right now. And pick one way you can start aligning them. If you haven't come out, make your wish list and start. You can also attend a trans LGBTQIA+ parade, pride event, or any other kind of support group. Or you can start wearing a trans flag pin. People to look to are Jonathan Van Ness, Laverne Cox, India Moore, Jake Graff, Valentina Sampaio, Hunter Schaefer, Laura Jane Grace, Ian Alexander, Brian Michael Smith, and these are some people on Instagram. I'm too queer. A study by AMJ Orthopsychiatry revealed that gay bisexual youth were able to develop positive conceptualizations of their sexual orientation despite experiencing negative societal messages about being gay or bisexual, and had positive personal conceptualizations of being gay or bisexual, and showed resiliency in the face of gay-related oppression. So basically, when they came out, they were able to feel good about it. And they were able to deal with stuff in spite of it. That's basically what that says. And the same psychological factors that I mentioned from the Cornell study about trans people coming out apply here as well in terms of authenticity, coming out and being aligned. So honestly, the exact same thing from ideas from trans, from I'm Too Trans. So think about how unhappy, confused, and unaligned you felt before you transitioned and came out, and like literally the exact same thing, but literally. And people to look to are RuPaul, Lil Nas X, Halsey, Haley Kiyoko, Demi Lovato, Billy Porter, Elton John, Miley Cyrus, Kristen Stewart, and Amanda Steinberg. I'm too messy. Point of view. You are an artist, a gardener, a parent, or a messy eater. So the idea here is that you feel like you can't, wear clothes because you're just going to get a stain on them. I will say that messy eaters develop, and if you're a kid, you're developing, fine motor skills, and it helps you learn about your food and the world. And if children are making a mess with their food, they're able to better identify the snacks at a later time. And finger food is always easier to eat, and people are less judgmental at finger food events. So that might say something. But I also will say that all of the things that are creating stains mean that you are creating or enjoying something. The stains are evidence of living. So ideas, get a Tide pen, get a stain remover pen, carry it around with you. Wait to get dressed right till you leave the house. Get strategic with your outerwear. Get a hot bib, get a fun bib and wear it around when you're eating or working. The same with an apron. You can get a period tracker app. Stardust is the one that I use. They do not share your info. You can go naked. You can decorate the stains and, turn them into flowers or something. Carry napkins around with you. You can also do proprioception exercises to increase your awareness of your physical surroundings. Those will help with your balance. If you're a person that bumps into things and that's how you're spilling stuff or missing your mouth like me. You can wear white on purpose and let it be like a canvas. You can check out stain-resistant brands as well, like Mother Oxford, Abley, The Good Day Lab, and Numi. And you can wear it anyway. Wear it anyway is the same for all of these, for everything. I'm not cool enough to pull it off. Point of view, your style is too weird. Who says cool and weird are objective or subjective as fuck? Why is Bjork allowed to be a swan and you have to be an ugly duckling? I'm just kidding. No ducks are not hot. And why do you not even get to be like a bird at all? That's insane. I mean, you are no different than Bjork. Stop saying that you are. Stop believing that you are. Just stop it. You are special. You are at least good enough to start doing what you want. It's a little known fact that you can't do what you want. Like, you just start. Honestly, all of this is based on confidence, and I'm going to refer you to the confidence and self-esteem and self-love modules. This is all where this is coming from. Too much expectation. Point of view. If I dress up once, people will expect me to do it all the time. Okay, no. Just because you dress up once does not mean people will expect you to do it every single time. You won't have to be dressed up or put on full makeup or whatever you think it is every time you exist or every time that you wake up. You do not need to be someone or become someone who people don't recognize without makeup or without your signature denim jacket or whatever you think it's going to be. What I'm going to ask you is, are you actually more afraid of who you need to be when you're dressed up as your highest self? Maybe you're afraid of living up to your own expectations of your highest self once your outside matches how you feel than you are of other people's expectations of who you look like on a consistent basis. Is dressing less than how you feel an actual excuse to play small? Ideas? Journal on that shit. Tap it out. I don't have enough places to wear this. Point of view. Your clothes aren't professional. They're not professional enough. You work from home. You don't have enough friends or engagements to wear these things to. Okay. Remember when we all thought we were going to like die during the pandemic and we rose to the occasion of humanity for like a week during March of 2020? We were living like we were going to die and being helpful as a community for a moment in time. And you do that again. Ideas. Adjust your wardrobe to match your schedule and activities. If you find that you're unhappy with your schedule, then adjust your life so that makes sense first. So schedule more activities that feel fun so you have places to wear things. Go on apps like BFF Friend Finder, or what is it? BFF Bumble to find more friends. Get outrageously dressed up for no reason to go check the mail. Who cares? And let's start defining what no reason means and blow it up. What is no reason? Life is no reason. I'm too lazy. Point of view. I don't want to prioritize this. I'm not motivated enough. I'm lazy. You're not lazy. You're also not unmotivated. You're also not bored. You are scared or deeply uninterested. Laziness is an excuse. Bored is objectively untrue. How many things are there to do right now, honestly? Unmotivated is whether or not you're going to prioritize something. You either will prioritize something or you won't. Every day you find a way to do things. You know how to prioritize. You figure it out. So decide if you're too scared to figure something out or if you're genuinely apathetic about it. It's okay to not give a shit about certain things. But if you are, then let it go. If you do give a shit about something and you're still not doing something about it, then it's because you're scared about a certain element about it. Ideas? Journal on if you're actually interested in dressing for joy, or if there's an element of it that you're scared about, and then see the other excuses that we've been talking about and dissect them further. Remember, the prioritizing of stuff, of dressing, of anything in life does not need to be drastic. And specifically for this, it could be something like adding an accessory or a new color. This is specifically about deliberate decisions. instead of avoidance and apathy. I think I skipped. Oh, no, okay. Point of view. I'm exhausted. I'm a parent. I am working a lot. I have a mental or chronic illness. Okay, we all know what we need to do, but are we doing it? Our body has to come first. So if your nutrition, exercise, hydration, sleep, medicine, self-care, social needs, sex life, etc., are all in check and you're still exhausted, then it is chronic. But if you are neglecting an area, you need to start addressing it, and then we can talk. So if your condition is chronic, like a chronic illness, chronic pain, please obviously get medical attention and be in care of that first. Then focus on moving with the flow of life. Embrace the energy when it comes, but also remember to create invitations for it. That is to say that when you feel energy come, dance with it, literally, use it to your advantage. But if you're always waiting and it's not coming, then you might need to clear a space for it. And one of the best ways to do that is to create a physically inviting environment. Clearing a space might be actually what you need, in fact. Clutter can affect our anxiety levels, sleep, ability to focus, and make us less productive and trigger coping and avoidance strategies that make us more likely to snack on junk, watch TV, especially including ones about other people decluttering. And it leads to us being in a constant low-grade fight or flight response, which taxes on our resources and survival. This is how we lower our immune system, and this helps, this makes it harder for us to digest food, and it leaves us at greater risk for developing type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So this means that having a cluttered house might actually be making you sick. It might be making you tired. It might be making you anxious. Your clutter can be ruining your life. And you might not even notice because it's your new baseline. Our baselines for things adjust very quickly, even to something as extreme as homelessness. The difference between clutter and hoarding is clutter is possessions and disorganized stuff that may accumulate around living areas. And hoarding is when stuff becomes like your room or a table or a piece of furniture is no longer being able to be used for its intended purpose. So if you can't sit down, if you have to walk over something, if you can't use a table surface, that is now technically hoarding. Ideas for all of this. Declutter, declutter, declutter. Also, get your thyroid checked, get your adrenal checked, get your vitamin B, D, A1C, and iron levels checked. Get a sleep study if all of these things aren't working, actually do all of that at the doctor. Take cordyceps, take B12, go to bed 30 minutes earlier and get 8 hours sleep minimum. Drink more water, focus on your gut health, move your body, try Tai Chi and stretching for low impact. See a psychiatrist, get some self-care alone time, door closed alone for 20 minutes minimum each day. Get outside, orgasm, ask for help. So if you're too tired, try these things. And then do some time management and prioritize stuff. Now, those are the end. That is the end of our slides. One of the other things is being scared of attention. This was such a large topic that I made an ebook for it. So I want you to check that out individually, separately. And this is for you if you don't want people to think you're getting attention, You don't want people to think you're seeking attention. You don't want attention. You don't want people to think you're vain. You don't want people to think it's frivolous. Or you don't know how to specifically, actually, this is for you, if you don't know how to respond to comments. There's 20 responses to comments in this ebook for how to deal with like people coming up to you on the street. Okay. So I hope what you got out of this is basically that any excuse, any fear, any reason that we have in life, we can find a sparkly lining for, be it psychological, be it a gratitude flip, be it scientific. There's always a reason for why there is something good about something, even if we have to look really hard. And there's also always someone who is doing it well. And there's also always an idea for how to embrace this in real life. So real tips here are to, look to other people who are representing this. Look to nature for ways that this is represented organically. Find ways to accept what already is without changing it, and find ways to magnify it, and find ways to flatter it. There is flattering, I don't really look into too much. I don't find that it's deeply helpful in terms of, but it can be. It really can be. Everything is a duality. And I didn't focus on that here because there are so many better people equipped to tell you how to, quote, dress for your shape, right? How to accentuate if you're short, how to, focus on a waistline and do those kind of things. There's whole fashion industries dedicated to that. And if you want to find how to, dress for certain shapes or heights or whatever, then there's innumerable resources for that. And I encourage you to do that if that's something that you want for flattering. But really, my point here is to celebrate you. I want to remind you that all of this is moving from fear to love, from fear to joy, and to celebrate ourselves. And it gets better if we begin doing what we want and we realize that we are the ones that govern ourselves at the end of the day. And yeah, I just want you to know that. I just want you to know that you're in charge of you. And there's a lot of reasons that we've been told that we are too much or less than. And you're not. I hope that this workbook is helpful as a recurring tool for you. And you're perfect. Let me know if there's anything that comes up for you that is something that I didn't address, and I am happy to help you work through it. If you need me to repeat any Instagram handles, resources, anything that wasn't clear in the masterclass, please leave a comment, and I am more than happy to assist you into finding those resources, as well as the attention, how to get rid of unwanted attention ebook. I love you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.